Hi, this is Ms. Hadi from Olympian High School. This video is intended for my students of AP World History. I just want to give you an introduction to Chapter 18 for me and Mr. Hammond's students. Chapter 18, the Nomadic Empires and Eurasian Integration. So take a note that we're working with the Traditions and Encounters textbook by Dr. Bentley, and it begins with this little section that's talking about a new time period, but we need to make sure that we're aware that in the AP World History course, this isn't a time period for us. So the old AP World History course, had different time periods, like, for example, 600 BCE to 600 CE is classical, 600 to 1450 would be post-classical. Now, the new AP World History modern course starts at 1200, but we go 1200 to 1450. Once you hit 1450 for our class, you're in modern history. So this periodization is what some historians do because they see big shifts in what they call the High Middle Ages. So I would recommend you read these next 2 pages to find out what are the larger trends and patterns or historical context that's going on for the chapter. So obviously one of the biggest ones is the building of these nomadic empires, which are going to facilitate trade and communication over much longer distances. And that's really important. Other big things that are happening that you've learned about before are Indian Ocean trade, which will continue. And so what this is doing, this time period, is demonstrating that there's this greater trend towards increased interaction and communication, which once we hit 1450 in the modern period, we're going to see larger states, more centralized states in most parts of the world, except for places, like the Pacific Islands where it becomes very difficult. But it's going to set the stage for modern world history. So I want you to read about all of the different trends and processes, and then to think about this chapter, such a cool picture, and think about the fact that when we say nomadic empires, we're mostly talking about the nomadic peoples, which are the Turks, which could be subdivided into different groups. For example, the Uyghurs, or if you think about the Ottoman Turks, or the Seljuk Turks, or many Turkish groups that you're going to read about. And then the Mongols. And these are Central Asian people that share a lot in common. For example, in previous classes of ancient world history, you may have heard about the Huns, or the White Huns, or the Shan Yu. The Shan Yu attack China. The White Huns attack India. The Huns attack the Germanic people, which then attack the Western Roman Empire, and it falls. So they have similar traditions, but they are different. The Turkish people, the Mongol people, and there's differences between Turks as well. So the chapter is going to start off telling you about the Turkish people, then it's going to go into the Mongols, and then it's like a sandwich, you go back to the Turks. So Turks, Mongols, Turks, with the Turks being the crust at the top and the bottom. So there are traditions that all of these Central Asian peoples share, but there are ways that they are different, so just be aware of that. Read this cool introduction about learning that all roads, or many of the 13th century roads, led to Karakoram. And there were all kinds of Europeans and others present in the capital of Genghis Khan's empire. And understand that this is going to be a big change in that it's going to facilitate a greater degree of cross-cultural interaction than ever before. So despite any of the destruction that happens with the Mongol attacks, the world's largest ever land-based empire, you're still going to see some positives from this increased interaction. Also some negatives, like the spread of disease, but we'll get into that when we start the chapter. So that should help you frame your understanding as you continue to read about the Turks, Mongols, Turks. Enjoy chapter 18.